My husband, 27M, backed out on something that meant the world to me, 26F. My husband and I are both lawyers. Our lives are intense, we work long hours, rarely go out, and usually just decompress at home together, movies, gaming, co-working sessions. We're close. He's truly my best friend. One of my childhood dreams has always been to see the Montreal Canadiens in the playoffs. He knows that. This year, I asked if he would come with me and made him promise he wouldn't cancel if I bought the tickets. He agreed. I was over the moon. I spent $700 for both tickets for the Friday game, way more than I'd usually spend, but I justified it because 1. It was meaningful to me, and 2. It would be his first time too. I talked about it all week. I was so excited to share this with him. But this morning, he woke up late because he'd been working non-stop since Sunday. It threw off his whole day. He was frustrated and was annoyed with me for not calling to wake him up since he woke up at 11 a.m. because he worked until very late yesterday. I had early meetings and couldn't. So he decided to not talk to me during the day to focus, and because he was kind of pissed at me. Then about an hour ago, he texted me saying he can't come to the game Friday. No emergency, no trial, no deadline. Just that he's too behind on work and doesn't want to fall further behind. He said he tried to make it work, but couldn't. He also offered to pay me back, which completely missed the point. I've been crying for over an hour. It's not about the money. It's that he didn't call, didn't even seem to feel bad, and clearly didn't grasp how much this night meant to me. His reaction was just, go with someone else. But I didn't want someone else. I wanted him. And I feel like, I know the drill. I'm also a lawyer. There's no valid reason to cancel on me for something I was so excited about. I feel so sad and let down, but I might be overreacting. How would you react? I'm with you on this one. Hopefully you can mention to him how hurt you were that he canceled on you. This is a memory that you wanted to create with him, and because he prioritized work, it was never created. You will know if you have a keeper or not by his reaction to you expressing how you feel. I think the way you feel is pretty valid. Time is incredibly precious and we should spend it accordingly, with the people we love and when it matters most. In 10 years, you'd still be talking about that time you finally got to experience a playoff hockey game, and you'd have gotten to share that experience with him. 10 years from now, do you think he'll remember or have any idea what case he was working on at the time? So yes, it's very valid, and I'm sorry he doesn't see that. On a side note, I'm on my way. I'll meet you there. If he wanted to, he would. He had plenty of notice. The excuses and blaming you for not waking him up, big red flags. I'm surprised nobody has asked about the fact that you had to make him promise he wouldn't cancel. Is this typical behavior for him? Years ago, my favorite band in the entire world was coming to town. I asked my partner to go with me, but they didn't want to, so I didn't go either. The band broke up not that long after. We're still together, but not gonna lie, even though this was 16 years ago, it still bothers me and I still think about it. I talk about it at therapy. Lol. Definitely go to the game. I hope you have an absolutely amazing time. I hope you go without him. Have fun, let him pay you back for his ticket. Don't count on him for your happiness. My wife, 32F, expects me, 31M, to share my salary but refuses to share hers. We've been in a relationship for 8 years, married for 4. Recently, my wife found out that my salary increased, and she became furious that I didn't tell her earlier. I understand where she's coming from and why it may have felt like I was keeping something from her. The thing is, she's never shared her salary with me, and when I've asked in the past, she says a wife doesn't need to tell her husband how much she makes, but a husband should be open about it. She believes it's only the husband's duty to share financial details. To me, this doesn't feel fair. I believe transparency should go both ways in a marriage. I'm not against sharing my income with her. In fact, I want us to be open about our finances. But it's hard to be fully open when it feels so one-sided. I've tried bringing this up, but the conversation quickly turns into her accusing me of lying or hiding money. It's become a pattern over time. Whenever I express my feelings or try to set boundaries, I'm met with blame or suspicion. I'm feeling emotionally drained and unsure how to continue in this kind of dynamic. I want a fair and trusting relationship, but right now I feel stuck. Has anyone else dealt with this kind of situation? How do you navigate financial transparency when one partner has different expectations about roles and fairness? This is one of those things you should have talked about before even proposing. She has crazy ideas about money. Didn't you talk about and agree on finances and economics before you got married? Mofo, y'all married but don't know each other's salary? Y'all have a FKED up marriage. Sorry to say, her views are the most toxic SHT ever. Bet y'all don't go 50-50 on bills either. How do you handle taxes? If from the USA, do you not file jointly? This would disclose a lot about income, etc. I've dealt with this with an ex-girlfriend. It was the reason we broke up. Her attitude towards our earnings was, my money is my money, and your money is our money. It didn't take long for me to feel like I couldn't be generous and felt guarded around my money. I realized that even with women that I had larger income discrepancies from, a previous one to her and I had a 10-to-1 income ratio, whereas mine to this ex was a 6-to-1 income ratio. Even paying for 3% of things made me feel cared for. Once it's 0%, then it feels like I'm being taken advantage of. So y'all never decided to hash this out before you got married? I'm 100% certain this didn't just suddenly happen while you guys were married and now she's selfish with her money. If she was always like this, you should have caught on and decided not to marry into this. The unfortunate reality is that's how she is. You may want it to work a certain way, but she seems unwilling to do that. So now the decision is on you on how you want to approach this. Like I said, the conversation on finances should have came way before you decided to put a ring on. I'm not trying to blame you, but there definitely should have been signs saying like, hey, maybe this person isn't really ready for a partnership. How do I, 42F, convince my husband, 41M, that he needs to move out of our house and very soon? Too long did not read. I need my scrub of a husband to GTFO of our house and he's not into it. How can I help make this happen? If it matters, we were married and currently live in Louisiana. We have been together for 18 years, married for 11. Over the past decade he has developed severe contamination OCD that was absolutely not a thing when we first got together or when we married. At first it was annoying, but has escalated for too many years, to the point where we get into screaming fights because he expects me to participate in his pathologic rituals. He refuses any kind of mental health care, and medication is absolutely out of the question. So fucking finally I went to a law firm and filed for divorce. In our state, one of the requirements is to prove to a judge that we have lived in separate residences for at least 6 months before they will sign off on it. The judge granted me exclusive residency of our home because I'm the only one that can afford to keep up with all the bills. Not to mention that his entire family lives here, and all of mine are hundreds of miles away. Also ordered that he must move out by 5 p.m. April 30th, 25. Husband ignored the notice letter, and now is arguing with me about moving out. I desperately want this process to move forward, but he is flat out refusing to leave. I know that I can technically call the authorities and have him escorted off the premises after 4:30, but I really don't want it to come to that. If anyone has had a relatable experience or advice, I would very much appreciate it. Tia. This is a problem for April 30th, 25 at 4:59:501 time frame. Don't let it weigh on you until then. At that point you call La and move on. You have an order from the judge stating that he needs to be out of the house on 4:30? Just call the police at 5:01 p.m. if he isn't out. At that point he will be trespassing and they will carry out the order for you. You have 7 days left. After that, he is violating a court order. Keep it handy. Then call the authorities. No more discussion. While waiting for 4:30, stop cleaning the house, especially the messes that trigger him the most. Not to be mean, but to be clear, you are not catering to his obsessions anymore and he'll be more comfortable elsewhere. I bet his family won't cater either, but not your problem. Like everyone has said, tell him, leave or I call the cops to make you leave at 5:01 p.m. next Wednesday. You want them touching you and your stuff with their dirty as fuck hands? Maybe that will get him moving. Beyond that there is no discussion. Someone else mentioned maybe getting him committed for the OCD? If you think that's factoring here or he can't function, have you talked to any of his family that are close by? Maybe they can talk to him and invite him to stay? Truly, he sounds like he needs to be hospitalized if it's come to this. Good luck. As you said, all his family is there. He has people who will support him. He needs to know he's expected to be out per the order. If you have a lawyer, maybe you can have them send him a registered letter confirming the expectation he leave per the court order? You could advise his close family member you intend to call the police and have him removed if he's not out and ask their help to have him out. Just a few ideas. My mom thinks I, 28M, should reconsider my engagement with my fiancé, 27F. My fiancé and I have been in a stable, fight-free relationship for 5 years, engaged for 1 year. I can confidently say she's the love of my life. When we moved in together a year ago, things remained stable and calm. We both have very demanding jobs that change the amount of responsibilities assigned each year. At first, I was going through a very difficult time at work, which required long hours, and I often came home late and tired. My contribution to household chores was inconsistent, not always lifting the weight on my part. After a brief conversation in which she pointed out how uncomfortable she felt doing most of the household chores, I resolved to improve and better divide the tasks. From that moment on, things improved a lot, always giving 100%. We both understand that you can't always give 50-50, but neither of us is uncomfortable with 40-60ths or 60-40ths. I usually take care of cooking, washing, and folding clothes while she does the cleaning. However, we can both do everything when needed. 3 months ago, things changed drastically. I entered a phase of my work life where demands are minimal, hours are flexible, and I'm basically my own boss. She, on the other hand, began what is by far the most difficult phase, where she requires long hours and maximum demands. The first few weeks, I was able to carry the weight of the household. In addition to cooking, I took care of the rest of her tasks, always completing them 100%. This didn't bother me, as I believed things should be done for the good of both of us. As time went on, she became distant, and I began to see her less and less. At first, there was no conflict, as I've also gone through similar stages and know how difficult it can be. Despite this, she became increasingly emotionally distant, completely abandoning any sexual contact. As for household chores, this went from 40/60ths to a drastic 100/0. I started going to the grocery store and paying for ours alone, cooking, doing laundry, and keeping the house clean. Every day, all day. While I understand the stage she's at, the final straw was when she started partying with his coworkers. In the last month, she's gone to 5 parties but has helped me clean or go grocery shopping 0 times. During her last party, when she got home, I complained about how distant she's been and all the burden she's left on me. After many tears, she admitted that she hasn't been able to balance her life and that I've definitely been the one pushed aside and left behind. She promised to work on it and regain physical and emotional intimacy, as well as help me more around the house. The problem arose this weekend. My mom invited us over for dinner, as she usually does on weekends. She and my fiancé have never had a close relationship, but they've never had a problem. While they're not close, there's always been affection and respect. The meal went smoothly, in my opinion. Today, I received a call from my mother, frankly upset, saying I should reconsider my engagement, even cancel the wedding. She argued that during our weekend meals, she's noticed how my fiancé distances herself from me, avoids physical contact, and acts disgusted when I approach her. She added that I've been carrying the weight of the relationship for 3 months, taking care of all the household chores, in addition to the financial aspect. She concluded by saying that she practically doubts she loves me because of the behavior she's seen and knowing that I've become the sole responsible person in the home. Her call hit me like a truck. I was speechless. While it's true that my fiancé has become distant, I always saw it as a phase, which promised to gradually improve. My mother is a psychologist and basically dedicates herself to resolving these conflicts, so the drastic and harsh words she spoke were definitely a surprise. Although she's considered an expert, at some point in the call she confessed that she saw herself reflected in me. She divorced my father 10 years ago due to a situation similar to mine, where she carried all the emotional, financial, and work burdens of the relationship. She doesn't want the same thing to happen to me, and that's why she used those words. I'm honestly devastated and don't know what to do. I think my relationship with my fiancé can definitely improve, but I think mentioning everything my mother said would ruin her relationship with her. This week things had organically improved, but now I feel uncomfortable and doubting whether she even loves me. I don't know how to bring up the issue again or even begin to address this. How can I mention this problem to my fiancé? I should add that to this day, I have covered 100% of the wedding expenses, which is perhaps why my mother is apprehensive about the very idea of us getting married. I wonder if pre-marriage counseling may be a good idea so that you two can get an unbiased perspective on to maintain the relationship when other factors are impacting the relationship. Admittedly, she also made the choice to go to those work parties and neglect her relationship with you, so maybe there's a question that needs to be answered about why she chose to push you aside instead of asking for help. So while your mom is biased to a degree, the fact that her words have questioning the relationship means that you potentially are finding some truth to her words. This needs to be addressed before you get married. Let's go back. When your fiancé saw you not pulling weight, she was upset. How would she react if it was you going to parties without her? How come she didn't invite you to meet her there? The answer is the oldest. Because she became interested in someone. You're doing everything. She knows where you are. As for the advice your mother gave you, don't tell her. Your eyes have been opened. It's time for you to look. Ask to go with her and see her reaction. As someone twice your age and without qualifications like those of your mother, I can confidently say I've predicted several breakups based on visual cues like the ones your mother picked up. Sometimes there are things that are obvious from the outside and invisible from the day-to-day inside. Your mother loves you and is taking a huge risk by sharing these observations with you. Take time to explore their merits. Never base a breakup or makeup on a family member's opinion. Family is biased and, in your mother's case, having gone through something similar is very likely to be causing her to project. As a side note, as a psychologist, she should know that already. This decision is yours alone and you really need to disregard any advice from your mother. Now, that being said, Enough is enough with your fiancé. Going out partying with coworkers and ignoring chores and you as a result is not a sign of an engaged partner. It sounds like she's completely checked out, and the nights out make me a bit suspicious that she could be cheating with a coworker. You have to be a certain kind of person to view social gatherings with coworkers as anything other than irritating. Disgust is a pretty significant, extreme emotion. Right up there with contempt. Even if your mom is projecting with her logic, if fiancé has genuinely observed an expression of disgust, there's no going forward without getting to the root of that. It could be about resentment, shame for not pulling weight with the cleaning. It could be that she's getting her touching, closeness needs met elsewhere at these outings. It could be that your mom misread an expression. Best of luck with whatever happens next. Take your mom's words with a pinch of salt. Your mom told you up front she's projecting her relationship with your dad onto you and your fiancé. While you wrote down that initially, you weren't the one pulling your weight and you weren't doing much around the house to the point your fiancé had to sit you down and address that she was uncomfortable being the only one cleaning. Now the situation is the same but reversed, and you said once you mentioned it to your fiancé you've noticed an immediate change. You need to trust your gut on this.